And he said many people, when they reach age 50, they still think, okay, I'm still in the vision realm. I'm still seeing visions. I'm not in that dreaming realm yet. And so it's almost like there's this invisible number that they think is there, but the Bible doesn't really have an age when people stop seeing visions and others dream dreams. And so what he shared was, he showed us pictures of two men right now who are past 50, and they are influencing the minds of the young generation around the world. One of those men is the man that is the owner of MTV. He's past 50. But he has a mission. Did you know MTV has a mission? Their mission is to change the thinking of the young generation. And they come out and say it. And so, that's his mission. And to make money off the young generation. And so here he is. He doesn't even look youthful in the way he dresses. I mean, he dresses with a suit and tie. He's, bald-headed. Nothing against being bald-headed. I mean, there's a wonderful young bald-headed guys and older bald-headed guys. But I'm just saying that, it's not about his appearance. It's not all about his appearance. It's a man who's past 50 and he's influencing the young generation because he dreams and he's fulfilling his dream. And then Bill Gates is another one who has fulfilled his dream. He's past 50. And we saw, Ron Luce was talking to us. He said, many times we're thinking, well, I guess I can't reach the young generation because I'm past 50. No. He said, we got to see, we're working in this thing together. We're seeing visions and we're dreaming dreams and we're fulfilling it, but not for making money. Not for trying to change the young generation in a wrong direction, but we're doing it because we're trying to save souls and we're trying to reach this generation with the gospel of Jesus Christ to change their thinking in the right direction, to bring them truth that can set them free. And so, anyways, he was sharing, and I was thinking about, there are times when we see visions, and then there's times where we dream dreams, and I want to tell you something. Dreaming doesn't just happen because you go to sleep. You can dream big dreams. How many have ever heard of the dream center? Yeah, because see, dreams is not just about you going to sleep and having a dream at night. Vision is the same. I mean, you can have vision to do something, to make a difference. And so God can show you things. So today as we're talking about this, I'm talking about both the dreams and visions God's going to put inside of our hearts to make a difference in the world that we live in. Now, my husband, he had visions in his life. We started out pastoring this church, and there was one of the men on staff, and they're going to show a picture of our first staff that we ever had in this church. There they are, Mark Turner, David Grothe, Greg Glassford, Billy Joe. And they were the first staff that we had. Greg was part-time in the beginning because at that time we couldn't afford a full-time youth pastor. He was the youth pastor. And so anyway, he came on full-time after a while. But these guys, they were the staff. And one day, Mark Turner, my far left over there. Anyway, Mark Turner said to Bill Joe, he said, Pastor, he said, we've got to have you write a vision. We've got to write our vision. He was a businessman. That was his background. He says, we need to write our vision statement. And Bill Joe said, Mark, he said, our vision is we're going to save souls and we're going to meet the needs of hurting people. And Billy Joe and Mark said, I know that, but we've got to have a vision statement that we can write down. He says, Mark, we're going to save souls and we're going to meet the needs of hurting people. I know that, Pastor, but we've got to have a statement that we clarify that. Break it down. Mark, we're going to save souls and we're going to meet the needs of hurting people. So Mark said, I gave up at that moment, but he said I would remind him, Pastor, we need to write a vision. Well, Billy Joe did write a vision, but I want to just talk to you about the fact that when God starts giving you vision, it's because he wants to use you to touch other people. The first vision my husband had, And we were raised in, our background is a Methodist background. My father was a Methodist pastor, and that's how I met Billy Joe. Was we came and pastored. My dad came to pastor his church in Magnolia, Arkansas, and we were. That's when we met, and then later, of course, we went to ORU. But when we first met, there was not an interest between the two of us. We were in high school. He was a year ahead of me. But a move of God happened in our town, of the Holy Spirit moving among the young people. And it moved in our church, our youth group, and other youth groups. And there was just this awesome awakening, spiritual awakening that took place as we all began to meet from place to place, home to home, and then at the school at lunch. Anyway, in that time frame, I knew I had a call of God come on my life. He had a call of God come on his life. Well, before we started to date, he had gone on a vacation trip with his parents, and as they were driving along the road, he said all of a sudden he had this, like a video, right across in front of his face. He saw him and me together, and we were ministering to a mass of people in front of us. Well, now, just so you understand, in our Methodist denomination, our church was only 200 people in attendance. And so that was big for us to think of 200 people. But the other thing is that not being Pentecostal background or charismatic background, we had never heard of such a thing as a vision. You know, we didn't know there was supernatural happenings that happened. And so when that happened to him, he just kept that to himself. Later, about a year and a half later, after we'd been dating, he shared it with me. And I knew in my heart God had put us together, brought us together. Well, the second vision he had, we were at the college that was in our town. It was a state college. And as we were there, as he was there one day on the football field, because he played football, he saw another one of these video things just go in front of his face. And it was like he was oblivious to the football field, and all of a sudden he just saw millions of people living their lives in the American dream from one thing to another. They would go to school, they'd graduate, and then they would get a job, and they would get married, have a family. They would have a house, get a car. They would start to, do well, get another car, get another house, and then their kids would grow into college age. They would send their kids to college, and then those kids would get married, and then they would end up retiring from their job, and then they would buy a house on the lake and then die. And he saw all that really fast, and he said, as he saw that vision, the Lord spoke to him and said, now, you can live your life for things, or you can live your life for touching people's lives, relationships that you would touch along the way. And he says, when you get to eternity, the things aren't going to go into eternity. You'll look back, though, on the people that you touched, the lives that you related to and connected with that were touched for my kingdom. And he said, this is not just for you as a preacher. This vision, Billy Joe, is for every Christian. That every Christian, no matter what their occupation, whether they're a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, or an engineer, or they're a teacher, or they're a sales clerk, or they're a business person, or a plumber, or an electrician, whatever their job occupation is, he said, if they could see that their life is not things, but their life is relationships with people and people that they're going to touch and affect in a positive way. And then when they come to the end of their life, instead of living their lives just for themselves, they will come to the end of their lives and they'll look back when they step into eternity at the people that they have affected in a good way, a positive way, a way that brought those people to Jesus. And so that vision got inside of him and was, of course, what motivated us in our lives. The third vision that he had was we were youth pastors because while we were going to college and then after we graduated from college, we became youth pastors in a season of our lives. If you want to put that one up there, one of the churches that we were youth pastors was in Arkansas. There we are. That's when we were in college. He was a youth pastor at that church. I was a youth pastor at my dad's church. in another town. But anyway, during our youth pastor days, we thought we'd be youth pastors the rest of our lives because we loved youth. We loved relating with kids, other kids. But we ended up later coming, as we graduated ORU and we took a position here in the city as a youth pastor in a church here. We were there for a season, and during that time we began to hear the teaching of the Word of Faith. Brother Hagin was a member of that church, and he started Rhema Bible School in that church. So we got in on all that teaching, and we were just thinking, the world needs to hear this. And so we started traveling. We went out on the road traveling in the ministry. But before all that, before we left to travel in the ministry, he had a vision. One day, while Brother Kenneth Copeland was preaching behind the pulpit at the school, and all of a sudden he saw himself behind that pulpit.